Hey folks, CB3 here with another live update. Today is Sunday, April 6th. As you well know, the market had a terrible sell-off Thursday and Friday. We're going to talk about that. S&P down 13.7% on the year, CG down only 10%, and GI down less than 5%. So it's not as dark as it seems. Stay with me. CB3 Live Update begins now. Last week, global markets were thrown into chaos following President Trump's announcement of sweeping tariffs, which included a baseline 10% levy on imports for 57 major trading partners in the world. That's pretty much the whole world. I mean, that's got to be 90% of all the trading matters that we have. China, of course, retaliated swiftly, but it's not going to matter because they need us way more than we need them. Our percent of GDP for exports is around 23-25%. China's is well over 60%, so they are not in a strong bargaining position. But no matter, because the U.S. stock market experienced its worst week since the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic. This would have been February of 2020. So the Dow dropped by 2,200 points on Friday alone, 5.5%. The S&P fell nearly 6%, erasing $5 trillion in market cap in just over 2 days. But guys, we have seen this before during COVID. So the speed of this downturn is about the same speed that we had during COVID. Now, if you remember, at the low, it started about February 19th, 2020. It ended March 23rd, which was a very short 5.5 week bear market, and then it V-corrected from there. I don't know if we're going to have that this time. It would be unusual to have two short-term corrections this volatile and this quickly recover, but it could happen if we start seeing these trade partners step up to the table and working in a way that President Trump thinks is commensurate with his goal of leveling the playing field for our trading partners. So the economic implications are profound. Analysts are saying 60% chance of U.S. recession next year. I don't believe that because we don't know enough about how long these tariffs are going to be in place. If this were to be an environment where these tariffs stay in place for 6 to 8, even 10 months, definitely that could enhance the possibility of a recession. But right now, we don't even have the first negative quarter of GDP. And you need two back-to-back quarters of GDP negative to start a recession, or at least to pronounce a recession. So let's talk about the non-farm payrolls. Last month, 228,000 new jobs were created, and that was way over the expectation of only 140, so not quite twice as much. The unemployment rate did tick up to 4.2%, and I would say at this point, it's a blend of Biden and Trump. By the next monthly unemployment report, which will be the first week of April, you're going to see that that's going to be attributed totally to Donald Trump, and we will know a lot more a month from now as to what the real impact is of these tariffs and how long they're going to be in place. This could literally be just getting the trade partners to the table and negotiating some reciprocity. What I think everyone wants is zero tariffs on either side, absolute free trade with all of our trading partners around the world. We haven't had that since before World War II, folks. And that is why President Trump is taking this very, some would say risky, some would say just very, very bold approach. So leveling the playing field, and it's going to be better for America. But in the short run, it is going to be painful, no doubt. So I'm looking for the week ahead to show economic indicators that will definitely give us an implication as to inflation. So the March Consumer Price Index will be out on Thursday, PPI on Friday. Early in the week is pretty light, but certainly Thursdays and Fridays report on inflation is very important. It will be interesting to see where we are in this negotiation with these tariffs because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, as you know, one day under the Trump administration is a long time, or it certainly can be. So the CPI and PPI information may pale compared to the tariff news that happens in the first 3 days of this week, but we will not know until 72 hours from now or so. I'll be watching the market open tonight in Asia to see if there's follow through from Friday or to see if there's some buying going on. We are about 33% in cash in CG, but fully invested in GI because we have very, very conservative dividend stocks in there. We've reduced the 60-40 allocation from 60% stocks, 40% bonds to 54% stocks, 46% bonds. That makes sense given the market environment. The Fed at some point will jump in and protect this market from going down any further. But at this point, Jay Powell is not indicating that he's ready to do that yet. So in summary, last week, Really deep correction here for the S&P 500. The Dow entered a correction, and the Nasdaq is technically in a bear market, down 20% from its recent high. We were at lifetime highs, folks, just in January. So this is all happening very quickly. This is what we saw in COVID, and we also saw a very quick repricing once the hysteria got filtered out of the market and common sense came back. So let's see how it works out this next week. A recession is probably less than 50% at this point. I certainly think it is, because I think these tariff implications will work out over the next week to two. These countries can't afford to pay these tariffs, and they can't afford not to have the U.S. market as a consumer of their goods. They have to get to the table, and that's what President Trump and Scott Bessent and all the rest of his advisors are planning on. So I want to repeat, the S&P 500 for the year down 13.7%, CG only down 10.3%, so that's a 340 basis point improvement. GI down 4.93%. Folks, that's almost an 850 basis point improvement. So we're happy with that. I know you guys don't like being down on the year. I don't either. But the reality is I only try to do the best that I can. I try to lose less when the market goes down and make more when the market goes up. Can't do it every year or every month, but we do the very best we can. Stay with us. We'll get back to you as soon as we need to. And don't forget, this coming Thursday night, just 4.5 days from now, CB3 Live's April edition. And you can bet we'll be talking about the tariff situation and many more things that night. We will see you then.